Good evening, everybody. How we doing? Awesome. Well, thank you guys for spending your Wednesday evening here with me. We're going to be talking about the most fun topic in the world, which is getting out of debt, right? Well, I hope it's going to be a lot of fun. My promise to you is to try and make this as valuable as possible. Now, before we get started, if you don't mind, the chat box, if you can just let me know if you can hear me, just type yes to make sure that audio is coming through. There should be a little chat bubble, depending on if you're on your computer or on your phone. If you're on your phone, it's, I think, in the top right corner. Okay, perfect. Colleen says she can hear me. So that means audio is coming through. If you can't hear me, well, then you can't hear me tell you right now to try and log out again. But looks like we're doing good. All right, we're going to get rolling because I do want to respect your time tonight. And so we are here to talk about getting out of debt, how to crush that debt, not only just get out of it, but how to get out faster, how to really speed up that process using the resources we already have on hand. And then we'll talk about some other resources that you might be able to add in. Now, with that chat box, taking a step back to that, feel free to drop me any questions as we're going through this. And at the very end, I'll do a Q&A. So type them in anytime so that way you don't forget your questions. And then at the end, I'll roll through there and we'll get to those. Now, what you're going to walk away with today is an actionable game plan for getting out of debt. So we're going to be looking at different processes you can use. We're going to talk about which ones are best, in my opinion. And then we're going to talk about some strategies to cut spending and increase that income to really speed up that debt snowball process and that debt payment process. And hopefully today you're going to walk away with a renewed energy and motivation to just buckle down, get out of debt. We're going to see the power of it, what it really does to us. And that's what I want you to walk away with. And nothing else, a new fire burning in you to really hunker down and take care of this debt that you have in your life. Now, one thing I do ask of you at this time is I encourage you to get rid of all distractions. So any other windows that might be open, and it's not a vanity thing, I promise. I have no idea if you're surfing the web right now or not. But it's really just so you can get the most out of this time together. Like I said, I want to use this possibly 30 minutes to an hour that we're going to be together to its full potential. And so for you to get the most out of that is to just eliminate all distractions, to set the phone aside and really, again, put your attention to what we're doing here. Now, at the very end, if you want to stick around, we will be talking a little bit about funding Freedom U and an opportunity there. And I always give away a little goodies with that on these webinars. So stick around if you want to hear more about that. We'll also take a tour inside of that at the very, very end after the Q&A and everything. And then, of course, everybody here gets the Financial Freedom Roadmap. So at the end, I'll also tell you how you can get your hands on that. That's your gift just for being here. My gift to you. So this thing is great. It's a step-by-step plan out of the paycheck to paycheck cycle. That's going to tell you everything you need to do from point A to point Z to really find that financial freedom. All right, you may be wondering, is this the right spot for me? Should I really be in this workshop? So if you're tired of living paycheck to paycheck, yes, you're in the right spot. If you've ever wondered where did all my money go, which I am 100% have been guilty of more times than I would like to admit, you get to the end of the month, you're looking at your bank account, and you're going, what in the world happened? What did I spend it on? I didn't buy anything big. Where is it? We're going to talk about that. You're in the right place if you've had that feeling before. If money is a topic of stress, if it's something that keeps you up at night, if it causes fights between you and a spouse or arguments, then you're in the right place because the things we're going to talk about today are going to help alleviate some of that. And if nothing else, if you're just tired of giving away your hard-earned money to lenders and you want to keep more of it, we're going to be folks, obviously, we're crushing debt, we're getting out of debt, so we're going to be talking about how to do that. That's really the focus of today. So I want you to answer this in the chat box with me. What word comes to mind when you think about your debt? Now, as you're typing that with the chat box again, it should be up in the top corner. You can send it privately if you want to just me, if you don't want other people to see your answer, or you can send it to everyone. Either one is fine. If I read them out loud, I won't read your name if it's private. So feel free to type it privately to me or to the group. What word comes to mind when you think about your debt? All right, I got overwhelm, stress, and failure. Absolutely. Um, Fear, very good. Yeah, it can be scary, the unknown. Um, all these words that are coming in and keep sending them in. Frustration, love it. Very, so true. Frustration. Um, None of these have a positive tone to it, right? We've got stress, failure, frustration, fear. None of these are a positive emotion that's coming to mind. Yet when we go to take out debt, it doesn't ever feel that way, right? When we go to buy a car, we're excited, we're signing on the line. It's in that moment, it feels awesome. But then kind of reality sets in, and months down the road we're stressed out. We're feeling like we're not doing great. Those things add up, they pile up. So debt, really, when it comes down to it, you'll hear a lot of people tell you it's an opportunity, it's these things. That's how it feels before you have it, and then once it's there, every person I talk to, it's always negative connotations with their debt. Now, the power of debt, what debt really does is it robs you of your monthly income, and it prevents that forward progress. So it's preventing you from making any momentum forward, or at least as much progress as you could be making. And then we're throwing away our money on interest. Now, as this slide does not want to change. There it is. Okay. So you're paid your paycheck every month, right? So this money comes in. Now with debt, what's really happening is we're taking that money and we are putting it, and it's going to the past, right? Debt is all about things from the past. It's things we previously bought. It's that car we bought a couple of years ago. It's that college degree that we graduated with however long ago. It's the shopping trip that we put on our credit card last month, or the cell phone that we're paying off every month with that wonderful upgrade plan that those phone companies now have you on, right? So after we're done funding the past, suddenly our paycheck looks a lot like this. Now, this may be a little dramatic, but we've put so much money towards the things that have already happened, we no longer have as much money to put towards the things that are happening now, like our mortgage or our groceries or gas for our car, and then we have electricity and utilities, and we have to get clothing, if we have memberships or gyms or things for our kids. You see how that's piling up. Now, where we were before with this stack of money, all of this would probably fit really nicely, but suddenly we've had to pay for things that we bought previously, and now we're stuck with that much to fund all the rest. And we haven't even talked about funding our future yet. This is just surviving today. And that's really why we get stuck in that paycheck to paycheck cycle, that frustration and feeling that we can't get out of it. The main problem is it's these things we're paying for yesterday. And to really reach that financial freedom, to be successful with money, we need to only be using our income for today and tomorrow, not for yesterday. And so that's why we want to get out of it. Now, if we look at just the numbers in America, the average student graduates with $28,000 in student loan debt. That's an average monthly payment of $312 per month. So if we look at household debt, all consumer debt, it's $90,000 is the average. That's just the credit cards, auto loans, student loans, not the mortgage. If we took the debt-free households out of this equation and we just took the average of the houses that have debt, it's $130,000 in America. So the average consumer debt is equal to a mortgage payment. And that's frustrating, and that's where those negative connotations come from. The fear, the frustration is from these numbers right here. So tell me in the chat box, are you higher or lower than that national average, that $130,000, or I guess we could say the $90,000 one is the actual average. Are you higher or lower than that with your consumer debt? You can just say higher or lower. Just type that in the chat box. Lower, good. Good. Okay, another lower, awesome. Lower, smiley face, I like that. Yep, absolutely. And so I'm glad to see that so far everybody has said they are lower than that average, which is great. But that also can give you that feeling that, okay, great, I'm not as bad as the average person or Obviously, if that's the average, that means there's people who are a lot higher. And in my field of working with people, my clients I've seen people with higher than that. And so let's talk about what that's really costing us. How much is debt actually costing us? So let's say, remember, we're talking about funding tomorrow. So I'm not going to get too crazy. I'm a former fourth grade teacher, guys. So I'm all about making these concepts as simple as possible. So we're going to talk a little bit about investing, but I promise it's not going to get too crazy or too in depth. But let's just say we took $500 today. That's a car payment, right? Or a couple debt payments. What if we just took that $500 and invested it into a good mutual fund? And we did that every month. After 40 years of doing $500 a month, we'd end with about $3.1 million. So that student loan we talked about, at 18 years old, instead of taking on a student loan, what if we had said no, we took that money and we invested it into a mutual fund? That's what it would actually turn into. And so I want to ask you, would you rather, and we're going to do a little exercise here, would you rather have $1 million today or a penny that doubles in value every day for the next 30 days? So just tell me, would you rather have $1 million or the doubling penny? Which one sounds more enticing? And you may be guessing where this is going, but that's okay. So the penny, okay, got somebody saying the penny. Somebody wants the cash. I'll take it. Awesome. The $1 million up front. Great, great. All right, let's take a look. What's better? Well, $1 million up front sounds awesome. $1 million, I am old. That's really funny. Well, it's only 30 days. That's hilarious. Okay, love it. All right, let's take a look. So $1 million today, you're a millionaire. Awesome, very easy. What if I gave you a penny that doubled in value every day for the next 30 days? Well, here's a chart that's going to show you what that is. So for those of you who are on a cell phone right now and may not be able to read this, I will tell you what it's saying here. So obviously at day 2, we have 2 cents, not much. Even 10 days in, we're only looking at $5, but it continues to double every day. So at 11 days, it's $10. So let's just jump to 20 days. We're now looking at 5,000, and we still have 10 days left, and it gets to keep on doubling. We hit our first million at 28 days, and then we have a couple more days for that million to double. And so at the end of it, we end with about $5.3 million. Now, this is obviously a example, a very extreme example, but this is actually similar to how compound interest works. Now, Albert Einstein said compound interest is the 8th wonder of the world. Whoever understands it earns it, and whoever doesn't pays it. So we're going to take this and look at it in the sense of your debt payments in an investment. So let's say you took $1,000 today. Let's say you didn't have any debt and you took $1,000 and that's it. And you just dropped it into a good investment. And for math's sake, we're going to say it averages a 10% return. What that means is you put $1,000 in 1 year, it's going to earn 10%, which is $100. So suddenly that account now has $1,100. Well, the way compound interest works is the next month, in 1,000 is not going to earn interest, 1,100 is going to earn interest. So then we earn an extra, that year we earn 110, and it goes on top of that 1,100. So we've earned more. And then we just keep on going. The next year, now we had a balance of 1,210. We earned 10% of that. We've earned an extra $121. That gets added to the balance. So much like the penny, it doesn't seem like a lot in those first couple of years, but after 7 years, it's now looking like $2,000. So it's doubled in about 7 years. And after 35 years, $32,000. And that is just a one-time, I put $1,000 in the bank and I left it there for 35 years. And that 1,000 turns into 32,000. That is interest, earning interest, earning interest, earning interest. So this is where that whole idea that every dollar we spend on debt is actually thousands out of our pocket. So when we get in that mindset of, oh, I can afford $100 a month, I can afford $300 car payment a month, that's okay. I make enough money to afford that. Sure, you can afford that. And I take that phrase, I can afford that, as a survival tone. I don't want to just be able to afford it. I want to be able to thrive. I want to be able to take that money, and instead of making it $100 a month into a car, I'd rather own that car outright and take that $100 and invest it every month and watch it grow. Now, some of you here, especially that million, I'm old, I would comment, some of you may be thinking, okay, I don't have 35 years for something to sit in there. Well, that's okay. But the truth is, it's going to be more. The sooner we start, the more we can take advantage of that. The sooner we stop paying for yesterday, the more money we can put into tomorrow. It doesn't have to be just $500 a month. It can be whatever, depending on how close you are to wanting to retire. This is something that can grow, that can get passed on generationally if you have kids or family members that you would want this to benefit their lives. So it's not just about us, it expands bigger than that. And there's that old proverb that says the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today, right? So we can't say, oh, if I would have started when I was 19, it's too late for that. The best time we can do is right now. And so the first step to doing that is getting out of debt. So what do you do? How do you even begin that? Some of you may already be on your debt-free journey. Some of you, this may be the first time you've even considered getting out of debt. So what do we do? Well, number one, we have to assess the situation. We got to figure out where we stand. How much debt do we currently have? We have to make sure we know the minimum monthly payments, not how much you've been paying on it every month, but what's the minimum that you put in every month? What's that monthly payment that you pay that is required every month, I should say. We need to know what that number is. And then how much cash do we have on hand already? So not only debt, but how much cash do we have? And then how much cash do we actually need? So if you have $50,000 just sitting in a savings account and you have $30,000 in debt, it probably would be a good idea to take $30,000 of that savings and dump it on the debt. And that way you're out of debt and free up that cash flow. So really deciding, do I have cash on hand? How much of it do I really need? Step two, once we figure out the situation, we figure out where we stand, now it's time to write a budget. Now, we're not going to get into the super details of a budget, but I am going to just kind of give you a quick overview. I do a budgeting workshop similar to this. If you haven't attended it before, just keep an eye on the Facebook group, and you'll see when we do one of those. I also have a very detailed budgeting course inside Funding Freedom U. So budgeting is incredibly important. If you haven't done it yet, a lot of you may be here from the Every Dollar group, so I would hope that means you've at least taken a look at a budget. But if not, that's okay. But it is step two. We have to have that budget. Before we can even plan debt, getting out of debt, we have to know what's coming in and what we're going to do with that. So the first thing you do with that budget is you cover your essentials. Food, home, you have to have a roof, utilities, clothing, and that's the basics. We're not brand new, top of the line clothing. I'm saying you need to have shoes that aren't covered in holes that don't expose your toes, right? So basic clothing that can get you through the day, and then transportations. That way you can go earn an income you have to get to work, right? So that's step two. Again, that was a very quick overview of budgeting. Budgeting is essential. You have to have a budget, in my opinion, before you do anything. And then we have to decide what method are we going to use to attack this debt. So there's the debt snowball or the debt avalanche are two of the most popular. Now there's obviously many other ways, but we're just going to look at these two. Now the debt snowball means we're going to list our debts in order from smallest balance to largest balance. We're going to ignore those interest rates. We're going to just pay them off in that order, smallest to largest. The debt avalanche is listing them in order from highest interest rate to the lowest interest rate. And we're going to pay it off in that order. Regardless of balance, we're going to focus on the highest interest rates, whichever ones are costing us the most money. So tell me in the chat box, what do you think? Avalanche or snowball? Which method do you think makes the most sense? Snowball being smallest balance to largest balance, avalanche being highest interest rate to lowest interest rate. All right, I got a very enthusiastic snowball with an exclamation mark. Awesome. I have somebody who says avalanche, interest rates are important. Very good. Awesome. So a snowball, very good. All right. So let's take a look. We got another avalanche. Very cool. All right, let's take a look. And we're going to do a case study. Now, disclaimer on this case study, I know that every situation is different, and so this is just some numbers that I picked out from a client that I did this with recently. And so just know that I know it's every case is different, but the answer doesn't change. So let's take a look. Credit card A. So this person has one credit card. That card has a balance of $9,000 with an interest rate of 6%, and their minimum payment is $140 a month. They have another credit card with a $1,000 balance, a 4% interest rate, and a $50 minimum payment. And then we have a student loan with a balance of $30,000, a percentage rate of 8%, and a minimum payment of $500. So let's take a look and see the difference. So now the snowball, if we did it, we put them in order from smallest balance to the highest balance. So credit card B would be first, credit card A would be second, the student loan would be third. Now in this scenario, the interest rates happen to be smallest to largest. It doesn't always work out that way, but that's just the way this case study worked. If we did it this way, and we just paid the minimums, it would take 73 months to pay off this debt, and they would pay a total of $49,936. Cool. The avalanche would be the highest interest rate to the lowest interest rate. So 8%, 6%, 4%. And again, it just worked out that they are complete reversals of each other. The avalanche would actually get out of debt a month sooner, and they would pay $277 less than the snowball. So which one do I like better? Drum roll. I'm a fan of the snowball method, and I'm a math guy, everybody. So for those of you who are looking at these interest rates going, but wait, why I get out of debt sooner and I pay less money, that doesn't make any sense. And you're right. On paper, the numbers don't make sense. It makes more sense to follow the avalanche, but it's not all about the numbers. So have you ever, and I am guilty of every one of these, but have you ever been at that point in the month where you're like, okay, I have no more money to spend. I'm going out to eat. I can't go out to eat. I need to make it to payday or whatever. And then a friend texts you or a coworker. It's like, hey, you want to go out for drinks after work? And you're like, sure, let's go. And you go, even though you can't afford it, you want to go. So you do. And you say, whatever, it's fine, right? It's the behavior. Math no longer comes into play. It's the temptation to go do it. Or have you ever walked into Target to buy one thing and you know I don't have the money to buy anything else, and you walk out with bags that look like this? I think the last time I did this, somebody was like, oh, that's a light Target shopping trip right there. All these bags, that's not very much for Target, right? But have you ever done that? You've gone for one thing and you walk out with $150 worth of stuff. Even though you know that it's not in the budget, that you shouldn't be spending the money, you see something, it's on sale, you see something you want, behavior comes into the equation. And so what the snowball does in this scenario is $1,000 we can knock out like that. And then suddenly we freed up that monthly payment, which I don't remember what I said it was, but $50, I think is what this one was. Suddenly we have $50 freed up in our cash flow. And we're trying to break that paycheck to paycheck cycle. Now we have $50 freed up, not only to pour onto this next credit card, but if the dog needed to go to the vet suddenly that month, you wouldn't have to charge to the card. You'd have an extra $50. You know what I mean? It gives you that breathing room right away. Now we take that $50 and we add it to the $140 credit card payment, and suddenly we're paying $190. And then we knock this guy out. Then we have $190 to add to the $500 payment, and we start getting that momentum. You get those small victories. It gets that dopamine going, that tricks your brain into all those good feelings, the wins, the successes. Now, this case, student loans are $30,000. So it's going to be the majority of this timeline for this person to pay off those student loans. Before they even get one small win, they get a year in and they're going, you know what, the balance is only $23,000. I give up. This stinks. That's usually what happens. Now, once again, let me reiterate, every case is different. Some of you may be going, well, my highest interest rate is only $5,000. Even if these were flip-flopped, $9,000, then $30,000, still, you wouldn't have those small wins. You'd be stuck paying this $1,000 credit card until the end. So I'm all about those small victories, fixing the behavior, getting those wins, and that's what this really does, and freeing up that cash flow. The more money we can free up in our month, in our income, the better, and that's going to give you that breathing room. All right. So where do I begin? So we're going to be talking about the snowball from here on out. So what do I do? How do I even start this process? So first of all, we need to list all of our debts, obviously in order from smallest balance to largest balance. Now, we are going to ignore those interest rates. If you're like me, when I started this, it's going to drive you crazy. So don't even write them down, okay? Just ignore it. Don't worry about it. All right, so that's something we're not even going to think about. Just ignore them. The only exception is your IRS debt. If you owe IRS debt, put that at the very top of your snowball, or make that the first thing you pay. It's the top and bottom, right? Make it the first thing you pay. So that's the first one, is IRS debt. And the reason is they have the power, not that they necessarily would, but they have the power to garnish wages without taking you to court, without anything like that. Whereas a credit card would have to sue you and all that good stuff. So IRS is one we just want to take care of. They're very powerful, so we don't want to keep them waiting. If you have IRS debt, don't ignore it. Call them, get on a plan with them, and then let's make that our top priority to pay off. Okay? But assuming that you don't, we're just going to assume we don't have IRS debt. So we're going to pay minimum payments on all of them. We want to keep everybody happy. Minimum payments goes to everybody. And we're going to attack that smallest guy with as much as we can. And we're going to talk about some strategies to attack with a vengeance here in a little bit. We're going to throw any extra money we have at that smallest debt. Then, once that smallest one's gone, that $1,000 credit card B, once it's gone, we take that payment and we carry it over, just like I was talking about. We take that $50, we add it to the next credit card, which was a $140 payment, so now it's $190, and we're going to take $190 every month as our minimum, and we're going to add as much as we can on top of that to attack. And we're going to continue going through each one until they're all gone. So here's an example debt snowball form right here. And so I have listed out 5 debts. This person has $68,000 in debt. Here they are in order of balance from smallest to largest. I've put their minimum payments down. Remember, that's something that's important to know. And you'll notice nowhere on this form does it say interest rate. Because for, again, my math nerds out there, I don't want you to be going nuts every time you're looking at this one. But this one is a 10%, and that one's 2%. Or no interest. You know, we're not going to worry about it. We want cash flow. We want to change that behavior. So how this works, let's just look at this example again. $50, we knock out this guy pretty quickly. We add it to credit card 2. Now this new payment's $110. Then we knock out credit card 2 as fast as we can, add it to the next payment. So instead of $300, we're paying $360 on this car. Any extra money we could toss at it, we knock it out. Then we take $300 and we add it to this $500 payment. Now we're paying $410 payment, so it's $110 plus $300. So we're now paying $410 on top of that. So $910 attacking this car too. So almost doubled that minimum payment. Then we take that $910, we add $300 to it. We take the full $1,210 and we attack that debt. So we quadrupled our minimum student loan payment by freeing up this cash flow. And then not to mention, like I said, when we're on that last debt, so the student loan, let's say everything's gone but that student loan, we have an extra $910 a month in our budget that's just freed up. That's money that is not obligated to anybody. So if your child breaks their leg and you have to take them to the ER, then you make your minimum student loan payment that month and you have $900 extra to pay that ER visit. Hopefully it's not going to cost $900, but you know what I mean? Like, you have that cash flow, the available cash flow. That's what's going to prevent you from rolling back into debt. That's what's going to prevent you from barely making it to payday, is you have that money freed up to catch those emergencies without dipping into your emergency fund. Now, this guy right here, I want you to really focus in on him. $1,210 a month. This is the total minimum payments that this person is paying every month. This is how much money off their paycheck they're giving to the past. They're paying for those credit cards, those past expenses. So payday comes, immediately they lose $1,210 of their monthly income. Now this number is something I call the magic number. This is something that becomes so second nature to all of us because we get into that mindset of, I can afford $50 a month. I can afford $300 a month. But what we don't a lot of us don't stop to think about is, what is this really doing to us? I didn't think about it when I had debt. I think my magic number was about $850 a month, and never once thought about it until I started doing this process. I never once thought about what that actually meant. But then if you think about it this way, what if your boss came up to you and offered you a $1,200 a month raise? Or what if they said they were going to cut your pay by $1,210 a month? Guys, that's suddenly, that gives it legs, that makes it real. I mean, $1,210 a month raise, that'd be fantastic. That would be game changing, right? So we have to wrap our head around this money. We have to start thinking, what would I do if I had this money to keep? What could I do? What trips could I take? What could I be enjoying? How much could I be funding my retirement? What gifts could I give? How generous could I be? What would I really do with that money? So I want you to answer this. And again, feel free to answer privately in the chat box. You can just send it directly to my name, or if you want to, don't mind sending it to the group, that's okay. But what's your magic number? If you don't know for sure the exact number, remember, this is your total minimum payments. This isn't your total debt. It's how much every month are you giving away? And just take a guess. If you don't have that number in front of you, which it's okay, most of us probably don't, just ballpark it. You can make a guess. What do you think your monthly magic number is? What's your total monthly minimum payments? Go ahead and type that into the chat box. Fantastic. Okay, 1450. Great. I have a 900. Wonderful. 1,000. Okay. 2,000. Thank you. All right, you guys can keep those coming in if you'd like, but you hear those numbers. We had 1,450, 2,000, 1,000, 900. So 1,200 is actually pretty much the average, which is funny. Every time I do this, I like to see if it still sticks around the average, and it does. So wherever you land on that spectrum, guys, whether it's 900, whether it's 2,000, what I want you to do tonight, after we get off this call, we're not done yet, but I mean, after we're done, I want you to really open up a bottle of wine, or if you don't drink, then open up a soda pop. I'm from Texas. I don't know why I call this soda pop. It's Coke here. Open up a Coke or a bottle of wine, and I want you to just take away the negative feelings, those feelings we described at the beginning, the fear, the stress, the frustration. I want you to focus on the positive, and I want it to be based around that number. So don't kick yourself around for that number. I want you to say, well, what would I do if tomorrow I woke up and that money, I no longer owed it to anybody? What would I do? And just start having fun with it. What trip would you like to take this year that you probably couldn't because you can't afford it? What charities would you give to? Who would you bless? All those things, whatever it is that you want to focus in on, retirement, would you be able to change careers? Just play around with it and focus in on the positive side of it. And after you do that, you'll be able to really get a grasp on what you're going to do. And that's kind of your light at the end of the tunnel. That's what am I really working toward? Because the truth is, that's why we're doing this. There's nothing fun. I say nothing fun. Budgeting is not all that fun. Okay. I do it for a living, and I'll tell you right now, it's not, I like doing it, but I'm not just eager to write our budget every month. We just do it because I know the value of it. Paying off debt, while it can be exciting to pay it down, I mean, there's nothing all that fun about having to give away pay off $68,000. I mean, I'd rather not. It's fun to watch these dwindle, but all that saying, this whole process, it's hard, it's tough. We need that light, we need that motivator. And so focusing in on the positive is going to help you get that to that. So we already talked about having a budget, so I'm just going to blow through this right now. Take home pay at the top. So when you write your budget, you're going to say, here's how much I'm bringing home. List everything you're going to spend money on under it. We're going to give each dollar an assignment. So everything we earn needs to be told where to go. And then whatever we have left is going to go toward debt. So put those minimum payments in there. If you have an extra $500 a month, then we're going to put that towards that snowball, right? Now let's talk about some tricks you can do to squeeze out a little bit of money to speed up that snowball process. Now, something I love doing is the 10% rule. Now, this is where you take your budget. You have to have a written budget already for this one to work. So if you don't have one yet, go write one, and then you can apply this afterward. We take an extra 10% off of each flexible category. So what that looks like is, here's some examples of some flexible categories. Every budget's different, so you have a bunch of different ones, but restaurants, entertainment. If we budgeted $150 a month for restaurants, if I just took 10% of that, which is $15, so now instead of $150 a month, I get $135 a month for restaurants. Now, $15 is not a whole lot, so I save 15 bucks. I can put that toward my debt snowball, but it adds up as I do it over multiple categories. And the beauty of this is it's painless. So 150 and 135, when it comes to eating out in a month, feel pretty similar. You're not going to get to the end of the month and go, it's a good month, but I definitely feel like I only ate $135 worth of restaurants. You're not even going to notice it. It's not going to hurt, but it's going to add up. We do it with entertainment. Same thing. 10% of that is $20, so we drop it to $180. Fun money, this is your pocket money. If you and your spouse each get some fun money to spend, we can drop it. So each of us takes $15 less or whatever, so drop it by 30. Clothing, only $5. That's okay. Every little bit helps. And then groceries, if you're able to cut your groceries, try it. If you can't do 10%, maybe try 5% on groceries. But this example, they did 10%. So we add them up. While 5 and 15 doesn't seem like a lot, in total, this person was able to squeeze out $110 out of their budget, and it was pretty painless. Again, $50 and $45 in clothing, you're not going to notice the difference, but you're going to see the difference in momentum. You're going to be able to tack that 110 onto your smallest debt in your debt snowball. All right. Beyond that, what else can you do? Well, it's time to sell some stuff. Guys, we all need to purge, right? I mean, I feel like I could go around my house, and we just had a garage sale not too long ago, and I could still probably go around and load up boxes of stuff that we should probably just get rid of. So look around. I tell this to a lot of clients, and they'll say, well, I don't have anything to sell. I'm like, I want you to go back through your house and really look, and just really look at it differently. Like, do I need this? And they're usually able to find a lot more stuff than they thought. So just go through, open up your closets, and really just kind of look around and say, do I need that? Do I need that? Could I sell that for some money? And then have a garage sale. I mean, there's nothing wrong with a good old-fashioned garage sale. Yes, they're a lot of work, but you get rid of stuff, and it's cash in hand. Take your clothes to thrift shops. Sell things on Craigslist. Post stuff on eBay. If it's name brand or it's electronics, I never recommend garage selling those. Do it online so you get more money. So if you have name brand purses or shoes or, again, iPhones, put those up on eBay. You're going to get a lot more money for them than you would on a garage sale. So sell some stuff. That gives you that one big push. I'm all about the one big push. So if we come back here, $2,000, the sooner we can pay that off, the better. So doing all those things to knock out that $2,000 sooner is going to free up that momentum, and it's going to get us moving. So selling stuff is a one-time thing, but doing it all at once will at least get the process started, and we get that snowball moving. You can work, right? Work overtime. Now, when I was getting out of debt, I was a teacher, and we don't get overtime. And so that wasn't an option for me, but my wife worked a lot of overtime. She was able to, so she would put in an hour or two every day, getting those OT hours. So talk to your boss, see if overtime is an option if you're hourly, and stick around for an extra hour a day, an extra 30 minutes a day. It can add up a lot, especially when you get on that time and a half. If you can't get overtime, like me, second job, pick up something. Now, there's a lot of different creative ways, which we're going to talk about, some good ideas, things that you can start today and start making some money. It doesn't have to be. It can be working at Hobby Lobby or at Target on the weekends or at a restaurant, waiting tables. There's nothing wrong with that. So that's, if you're open to that, or if you like that idea, then do that. Otherwise, you can get creative with it. There's a ton of opportunities out there that don't require submitting applications, that are going in for interviews. There's things that you could start right away to earn some extra money. Yard work is the most simple one that I can think of that you could literally this weekend go and make a couple $100 if you wanted to. If you have a lawnmower or whatever, just walk around your neighborhood, find yards that have tall grass, hop on your online communities and Facebook or whatever, and just post, I'm mowing yards for X dollars. There are people who hate mowing their yards, and they will pay you to do it. If it's the fall, they'll pay you to rake their leaves. If it's the winter, they'll pay you to shovel their snow. So almost all year round, there's something that you can do that is literally cash in hand. Babysitting is another one that's not on here, but it's not just for teenagers. If you are open to babysitting, post flyers by the mailboxes in your Facebook groups for your neighborhood, babysitting, whatever. It's money, it's cash in hand. Cleaning houses is an option. So all those things where you don't have to, it's almost like you become an entrepreneur. You pick up this new thing, self-started venture that you can go start doing today. You could print out some flyers. Again, find houses that have tall grass, tape a flyer to their door and just say, I'll mow your yard for X dollars. Call me. And there's a good chance if you did that to all the houses in your neighborhood with tall grass that you'd get a handful that would call you and you'd be able to mow them. And you might even get that recurring money if you can keep doing it. This picture is for focus groups. So look in your area. If you're in Austin, there's a company called Tamage Market Research that I've used before. If you're not in Austin, Texas, then just Google it. Market research companies, see if there's any in your area. What this is it's where they pay you for your opinions. So I went to one last year. I still go every now and then if I get selected, just because they're kind of fun. I go and I sit in the room around a table, and there's the one-sided mirror, and on the other side is representative of a company. For this one, it was Jimmy Dean Sausage, and so that I can't see them, but they're watching us. And there's about 10 of us, and they show us pictures, and they ask how we feel, what emotions come from, what sausage makes us think about. They show us packaging. They're basically just testing out to see what the common person thinks about certain things as they rebrand and market. It's 100% my opinion. There's no right or wrong answer. And when it's done, it took about an hour and a half. They paid me, I think, $150 cash walking out the door. So great opportunity if you can find a place like that. Now, it's hard to get selected because they're pretty particular of what they want. It just depends on who they want for that focus group, but really cool, and I think they're fun to do. So like I said, I get the emails, and I don't respond to many, but every now and then one piques my interest, and I'll try and see if I can get selected. Donating plasma, if you're open to it, I think it gives me the heebie-jeebies, but I know a lot of people who do it and make pretty decent extra cash doing that. I think I have a client who said she makes an extra $75 a week donating plasma. So I don't know how realistic that is everywhere, but that sounds great if you're open to it. Now, disclaimer, I'm not saying you should. Medically, make sure you're okay to do that. But if you're open to it and able, go for it. Obviously, ride sharing. You've heard of Uber and Lyft. This is just a bunch of other ones that are out there. Uber and Lyft are the most popular. If you're comfortable with driving people around, take a look at Uber and Lyft. I used to drive for Uber when we were getting out of debt, and at the time when I signed up, I signed up and I think I was ready to drive the next morning. So it was really quick. They do a background check, and that's about it. And you apply and you're ready to go. Shipt and Instacart, similar to Uber. This is grocery shopping. So most of you have probably heard of these. If you're not a consumer of them, I use Instacart from time to time. This is where you have somebody go shopping for you and they deliver the groceries to you. Well, you could be one of those people who shops and delivers. So if you're open to that, you go and shop for someone and you take it to their house and drop it off and you get paid. And you can even make tips doing it. So it's a great opportunity. And again, this one, I think you can sign up and then you go to a local store. They do initiation is probably not the right word, but you know what I mean. You get there, they talk to you, they have you test out the app, and then you're good to go. So it's pretty quick and easy to get signed up for. Again, no interview process, nothing like that. Background check to make sure that you're safe to be around, and that's it. TaskRabbit is one that I have not personally tried. I've just heard about. And so this is odd jobs. So you sign up to be on the app. You say what you're able to do. If you're good at building furniture, if you're good at moving things, if you're good at painting, I don't know. There's tons of things on there. Somebody needs a TV mount. They're TV mounted on the wall. If that's something you said you could do, you get paired with them, you get paid to go over there and help them do that. So TaskRabbit's a cool one. Pretty easy to get started. Again, you just sign up and you should be ready to go within 24 hours. Easy Shift and Field Agent, these aren't going to break the bank, but every little bit helps. These are similar to the focus group thing, but it's an app and it sends you out into the field to do things. So for example, let's say you're going grocery shopping. You can open up Field Agent and it'll say, check at this grocery store, check end cap, the end cap on aisle 12, I don't know. And you basically go and you make sure that the display is that way. So if Oreo cookies paid money to be on that end cap, they will send people out through this app to make sure that it looks good, that it's actually there. There'll be a couple of questions that you answer, and then you'll make anywhere from $2 to $20. Again, it's not a lot of money. I wouldn't necessarily go to the store specifically for that, but if you're already going to the store, then maybe just check to see if there's things you can do while you're there for money. I've seen ones on there for burgers. So it was Burger King, and it was taste a Whopper, eat it, and then write what you think. And you got paid $7, and they paid for the burger. So you got reimbursed. So it was a free lunch, and you got paid to do it. So just certain things like that. Again, I wouldn't probably drive out of my way. I'd probably spend more gas and time on it. But if I'm out running errands and I see a burger one, maybe I'd stop and grab a burger while I'm out. So I'm not going to break the bank, but every little bit helps. And then the last two are Wag and Rover. These are the Uber for dogs. So you can walk dogs for people while they're out if they can't come home from work, midday, whatever. They pay you to take care of their dog, to take them on a walk. And it's through an app again. And so I haven't done this personally either, so I'm not 100% sure the logistics of it, but I think it's very similar in the sense you can get signed up and start walking dogs as soon as you want to. So all of these are just ideas for generating that extra money. This is not a forever plan. I'm not saying, so if you're already exhausted from work, I'm not saying do these forever. This is just the more we can generate now, the better. The budget's going to be the number one priority, but we want to free up that money. That magic number is really the target.